All right, Ralph, nice to see you. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
I have a few questions for you as we have the opportunity to speak with the winemaker and the chief of the Weingut Anselmann about your wines and especially about the region that we are focused today on the Pfalz region, and Pfalz has become lately the warmest region in Germany, and how this fact influenced your wine projects and the projects of your neighbors. Any new grape varieties in your winery?
Mhm. Yes, in fact, we note the global warming effect quite strongly in the last years in Pfalz. And I would say we are happy about it and we profit from global warming. So let's explain it like this. We have in the last years, our grapes are always getting a very, very high maturity, and the range of grape varieties we can work with became wider. For example, you tasted already a lot of my red wines from grape varieties like
Yeah.
Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Syrah, and even Tempranillo. And you know, these wines are very mature with nice color. And I would say, as a winemaker, I'm very proud about the high number of gold medal awards I could collect all over the world with these wines. This is something I would not have expected, I would say, as a
Some years.
small boy growing up in a
Yeah.
wine. On the other hand, our aromatic wines like Gewürztraminer, Scheurebe, Siegerrebe, they get such a nice maturity that in the last years, in every year, we developed very nice aromas, very intense aromas. So I think we profit a lot. But there's as well some other significant changes. For example, harvesting season. No? I was
Mm.
always used
Yep.
that harvest takes place maybe from end of September until end of October, or in some years even in the first week of November we were used to pick grapes.
Mhm.
And now in the last years, in some years we have to start harvesting already end of August, and the
Yeah.
main vintage month is now September, and always the very late, I would say late grape varieties like October, we are picked in the first 2 weeks of October, and I would say the light ripening red grape varieties coming from more southern regions, we are
Mm.
usually picked in October. So was really were big changes, or also I would say when I was a small boy in the winery, my father always tried to pick his grapes as late as possible to get the highest possible
Mhm.
quality.
Mhm.
Nowadays, if we pick too late, we have too high alcohol in our wine,
Yeah.
so it's a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
more like in wineries in the south. So not only the latest possibility is the best. Often we have to work much. So that means our style of viticulture it changed in some way. Also,
Mm.
we have maybe some disadvantages. For example, ice wine production became very, very
Very.
difficult for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I can say that I'm one of the ice wine specialists in Germany. I produced already a lot of ice wines of I think I can say really high quality, but in the last decade it was very, very rare. No, for example, our last really good ice wine vintage, which was 2011,
Mm.
2016, a little bit in 2017, but for example, last vintage and all the winter was there were no temperatures low enough to there was absolutely no chance for picking ice wine. So that's
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, some dramatic changes.
Probably another thing is that you need to irrigate your vineyards. And I remember some years ago when I visited that was probably, if I remember well, that was the Sauvignon Blanc
Yes,
plot.
what was
And I saw the irrigation and I
a
thought,
young
Jesus,
exactly.
in Pfalz, you have to irrigate. And now probably it's quite a percentage of your vineyards has to be irrigated. Is that true?
No, in fact, it's like this. For vineyards, it was a young vineyard. We
Mhm.
do irrigate vineyards in the first year when we plant
Okay.
them and in the years after, just to help the vineyard to survive.
All right. Yeah.
Up to now, we do no irrigation for older vineyards where we pick grapes. But I think in future it maybe will become necessary. At the moment, I would say our older vineyards, we have no problem to survive. But in some dry years, the amount of grapes is getting low because of the drought. For example, in 2018, 2019, we had two extremely dry years in a row. In 2018, we had perfect quality and also still a good quantity. In 2019, the last vintage, the situation was that we had a good maturity, but the quantity was, because of the dryness, relatively low. Irrigating is maybe something we shall do in future, but our problem here in Germany is as well a logistic problem. For example, take my winery. I run hardly 160 hectares of vineyards, but with hundreds of different plots. So the logistic of water is very difficult. So, and the distance from our most northern vineyard, a little bit south of the beautiful town Neustadt an der Weinstraße, and our most southern ones, which are a little bit south west of Landau, what means what's a distance of a bit over 20 kilometers. And from the mountain slopes of our Pfalz mountains, so from east to west was as well a range of about 3 up to 4 kilometers, what means the logistic of water is very, very difficult. The access to water, it cannot be compared maybe with some wineries you found in Southern Europe or South America, where thousands of hectares are in one plot. So what makes irrigation for us still difficult. And in for example, in the federal state of Baden-Württemberg, the government gives already some subsidies for irrigation. In Rhineland-Pfalz, where I work and where over 70% of the vineyards of Germany are located, was no subsidy for installation of irrigation. And it's also a question of our tradition. For example, up to the year 2002, irrigation of vineyards, beside of the very young ones, was strictly forbidden, because we still have a little bit traditionally the feeling irrigation is more to blow up the yield, to produce high quantity and let's say with average quality. But if the global warming continues, I think you are absolutely right, and we must think more and more about irrigation. It's maybe one of our main challenges in future.
There are some other changes too. When I visited Baden a few months ago, I've seen many wine producers that are moving from Vitis vinifera to Piwi, so-called Piwi cultivars, and it's mostly because they need to satisfy the Scandinavian need for organic wines. I mean, it's much easier to produce organic wines from the hybrid varieties in Baden, when it's quite warmer than in Pfalz. But do you also see this sort of pressure from the market of Sweden or Norwegian importers, that they need more and more organic wines, and it's not so easy to grow them?
I very successful with my wines in Scandinavia, especially in Finland and Norway, where I sell my importers sell a lot of wine to the monopoly, where I have general listings, and as well to the HoReCa sector. But it's mostly Riesling and Weißburgunder. What is demanded up to now? No new grape varieties, no PV grape varieties. I think my experience is where is more the quality in focus, and regarding PV grape varieties, I think the problem in Scandinavian market is that with grape varieties are not well known, and I have with always a better perception, I would say, with Riesling, Grauburgunder, Weißburgunder, Gewürztraminer, for example, or Spätburgunder. Indeed, I would say, was a lot of talking about PV grape varieties. In my winery, we already have in my estate a long experience, and we are running since a lot of time already about 10 hectares of PV grape varieties like Johanniter, Cabernet Blanc, we have Solaris, we have as red grape variety Regent as red PV. We have two new ones. One is called Sauvignac, also a very promising grape, and a new one which has only a breeding number, which is from the research station in Weinsberg. I would say, as a winemaker and a wine grower and enologist, I'm very happy with the PV grape variety because they give such a high quality, and we can avoid treatments, we can avoid spraying in summer times. But it costs us a lot as offered. It's not the situation that we are driven by the consumers. Indeed, we do a lot of efforts to introduce with wine. So, for example, I always try to include PV grape varieties in tastings, or also to the customers coming to our winery in Pfalz. We always try to make them the PV's tasting, and if the people taste, they like it, they are convinced. So, but I think it's still a long way. I would say more traditional consumers, they stuck more to the well-known grape varieties. But I hope that we can make the PV grape varieties more and more and popular, but it's really a question of tasting. If the consumers taste it, we have a pretty good experience. If they taste it, they often buy it, they include it, they buy some maybe Cabernet Blanc beside of Sauvignon Blanc or Riesling, and they stay loyal to it. Also, we have a lot of, I would say, loyal customers who like the PV grape varieties. And I think it's a growing market.
Thank you, Ralf, so much for being with us for this few minutes. All the best to you and your staff, and again, see you somewhere, probably.
I hope to see you soon.
Or we meet somewhere in a while again. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Michael.